You know that feeling when someone speaks to you in English, and you hear the words, but your brain just can't keep up? It's like trying to catch water with your hands. The sounds slip right through your fingers, and you're left standing there with a polite, confused smile. I've been there. I spent years studying grammar, memorizing vocabulary lists, but when it came to a real conversation, I felt completely lost. The problem wasn't my knowledge. The problem was my ears. They weren't trained for the speed, the rhythm, the music of everyday English. And that's exactly what we're going to fix, together, starting right now. Welcome to your daily practice for fluency. I'm your guide on this journey, and this is more than just a listening exercise. This is about rewiring your brain to understand English as it's actually spoken by real people in real situations. We're going to move beyond the perfect, slow English of textbooks and dive into the messy, beautiful, and fast world of daily conversations. The goal here is not just to understand the words, but to feel the flow, to predict what comes next, and to finally turn that confusing noise into clear, understandable language. Our method is simple, but powerful. We will listen to a conversation first at a slightly slower pace, just to get comfortable with the topic and the main ideas. Then, we'll listen to it again at a natural, native speed. This is the key. This repetition is like strength training for your listening muscles. The first listen builds your confidence, the second listen challenges your brain to catch everything in real time. After that, we'll break it down. We'll look at the specific phrases, the linking of words, the reductions that native speakers use without even thinking. Things like gonna instead of going to, or how what did you often sounds like wadaya. These aren't mistakes, they're the secret code to fluent comprehension. Our first conversation today is a classic, ordering coffee. It seems simple, right? But this is where so many learners get tripped up by the speed and the questions. So, get ready. Find a quiet space, put on your headphones if you can, and let's begin. Listen carefully the first time just for the gist. Don't worry about every single word. Just try to answer this: what kind of coffee does the customer order? Okay? Here we go. Okay, so how did you do? Did you catch what the customer ordered? Don't worry if it felt a bit fast, that's completely normal. This is our training ground. Let's listen to that conversation again, but this time, I'll play it at a slower pace. I want you to focus on the flow of the questions and answers. Here it is. Barista, hi there, what can I get for you today? Customer, hi. Can I get a large latte, please? Barista, sure thing. Would you like that hot or iced? Customer, iced, please. And can I have an extra shot of espresso in that? Barista, absolutely. That'll be a large iced latte with an extra shot. Anything else for you? Customer, no, that's all, thanks. Barista, okay, your total is $5.75. Now, that was clearer, right? You probably heard large latte, iced, and extra shot. But notice how the barista speaks in chunks. What can I get for you today is a single unit of meaning. This is crucial for listening. We don't hear individual words, we hear phrases. Now, for the real challenge. Let's listen to the exact same conversation at a natural, everyday speed. This is how it would really sound in a busy coffee shop. Ready? Listen for how the words connect together. Barista, hey, what can I get for ya? Customer, hey. Yeah, can I get a large latte? Barista, sure. Hot or iced? Customer, iced, please. And can I get an extra shot in that? Barista, yep, large iced latte with an extra shot. Anything else? Customer, that's it, thanks. Barista, cool, that's $5.75. Hear the difference? It's faster, more casual. The pronunciation changes. For you became for ya. What can I get sounded like what can I get? This is connected speech, and it's the #1 reason learners struggle with listening comprehension. Your brain is trained for textbook English, but real English is full of these links and reductions. Let's break it down. First, the question, what can I get for you? In fast speech, what can I often blends into what can I. The T sound in what becomes a soft D because it's followed by can. This is called assimilation. Then, for you reduces to for ya because it's quicker to say. This isn't lazy English, it's efficient English. Another key point is the intonation. The barista's voice goes up at the end of what can I get for ya, indicating a question. Listen for that musicality, it gives you clues about the meaning. A great tip for you, when practicing, shadow the speaker. That means repeating what you hear immediately after, trying to copy the rhythm and speed. Even if you can't do it perfectly, it trains your mouth and ears to work together. This conversation also uses common polite phrases like can I get? And anything else? These are gold mines for daily use. Remember, fluency isn't about using big words, it's about mastering these small, frequent exchanges. Now, I want you to listen to the natural version one more time. This time, close your eyes and just try to feel the rhythm. Don't translate, just listen. Ready? Amazing! You're already training your ears to hear the music of English, not just the words. That shift in focus is what separates intermediate learners from advanced speakers. But here's a secret most courses don't tell you: understanding one conversation is a great start, but real fluency comes from being able to switch between different topics quickly, just like in real life. Your brain needs to get flexible. So, let's build on that coffee shop confidence and dive into another incredibly common situation: bumping into a neighbor and making small talk. This is where we practice the casual, social English that builds relationships. Small talk might seem simple, but it's packed with subtle cues and predictable patterns. Nailing this will make you sound natural and friendly. Our conversation today is between two neighbors, Alex and Jamie, who meet while getting their mail. Listen first for the general mood. Is it friendly? Rushed? Just get a feel for the interaction. Here's the slower version. Alex: oh, hi Jamie. How are you doing? Jamie: hey Alex. I'm good, thanks. Just getting the mail. How about you? Alex: not too bad, just keeping busy. Did you have a good weekend? Jamie: yeah, it was pretty quiet. Just did some gardening. The weather was finally nice. Alex: I saw that. Your flowers look great. Jamie: thanks. Well, I should probably get going. Have a good one. Alex: you too. See you around. Okay, friendly and brief, right? You heard key phrases like "How are you doing?" and "Have a good one." Now, let's turn up the speed to real life. In natural speech, this cheerful chat will be much faster, with more connected sounds. Listen closely for how the words blend together this time. Alex, oh, hey Jamie. How you doing? Jamie, hey Alex. I'm good, thanks. Just getting the mail. 'Bout you? Alex, not too bad, keepin' busy. Have a good weekend? Jamie, yeah, 'twas pretty quiet. Just did some gardening. Weather was finally nice. Alex, I saw that. Your flowers look great. Jamie, thanks. Well, I should probably get going. Have a good one. Alex, you too. See ya. Hear the difference? The ing ending softened to in, getting became gettin', gardening became gardening. This is very common in informal speech. Also, how about you was reduced about you, and did you have became have a good weekend, with the did you almost disappearing. This is because in questions, we often skip words that are understood from context. A vital tip for you, in small talk, intonation is everything. Notice how Jamie's voice goes up on "how you doin'" to show a question and warmth, and then down on "I'm good, thanks" to show a conclusion. When Alex says your flowers look great, the pitch is higher on great to show genuine enthusiasm. Mimic this music. It conveys meaning as much as the words do. Practice this conversation with a friend, or even by yourself, recording your voice. Try to sound not just correct, but natural and warm. This is how you move from being understood to being liked. Now that you're getting the hang of casual chats, let's level up to a scenario that often makes learners nervous: the telephone conversation. Without body language or facial expressions, listening becomes your only tool, and it can feel intimidating. But what if I told you that phone calls are actually easier because people tend to speak more clearly and use predictable structures? That's right. Once you learn the common patterns, you'll feel a surge of confidence every time your phone rings. Today, we're going to practice a friend calling another friend to make plans for the weekend. This is perfect for learning how to suggest, accept, and arrange details, all essential skills for social fluency. Listen to this first version at a comfortable pace. Pay attention to how they propose the plan and settle on a time and place. Here we go. Anna, hi Mark, it's Anna. Mark, oh, hey Anna. What's up? Anna, not much. I was wondering if you're free this Saturday? Mark, let me check. Yeah, Saturday should work. What did you have in mind? Anna, I was thinking we could go see that new movie at the Grand Cinema. Mark, that sounds great. What time does it start? Anna, there's a show at 7:30 p.m. We could meet for a coffee before, maybe at 6 o'clock? Mark, perfect. Let's meet at the Daily Grind Cafe opposite the cinema. Anna, okay, awesome. I'll see you then. Mark, looking forward to it. Bye. Good. You probably grasped the main idea, making plans for a movie. Now, let's hear how this sounds in real life, with all the natural speed and flow. People on the phone often speak a bit faster to keep the conversation moving. Listen for the linking words and the casual tone. Anna, hey Mark, it's Anna. Mark, oh, hey Anna. What's up? Anna, not much. Was wondering if you're free this Saturday? Mark, let me check. Yeah, Saturday's good. What did you have in mind? Anna, I was thinking we could go see that new movie at the Grand Cinema. Mark, sounds great. What time's it start? Anna, there's a show at 7:30. We could grab a coffee before, like at 6? Mark, perfect. Let's just meet at the Daily Grind, opposite the cinema. Anna, okay, awesome. See ya then. Mark, looking forward to it. Bye. Hear how much more fluid that was. I was wondering if became was wondering if, and let me check turned into let me check. These contractions are the heart of spoken English. Also, notice how Mark says what did you have in mind, instead of what did you have in mind. The reduction of did you to dia is classic. Another key point is the use of like in like at 6. It's a filler word that makes the suggestion sound softer and more informal. Here's a powerful tip for phone conversations: always confirm the details. In this talk, Anna confirms the time, 7:30, and Mark confirms the place, the Daily Grind. This prevents misunderstandings. When you're on a call, don't be afraid to repeat the time or address back to the other person. It shows you're listening and ensures you're both on the same page. Practice this dialogue by role-playing both parts. Focus on mimicking the rhythm, especially the rising intonation in questions like what time's it start. This will make your own phone skills much more natural. Now, listen to the natural version once more, and this time, try to shadow it by speaking along softly. Fantastic! You're mastering the rhythm of social English, and that confidence will shine through in every interaction. But let's be honest, even with all the practice in the world, there's one situation that can still make anyone's heart race a little: being lost in a new city and having to ask for directions. Your textbook might have a perfect map, but real life has crowded streets, noisy traffic, and friendly strangers who speak quickly. This is where your listening skills become your superpower. Today, we're going to practice a conversation that will turn that anxiety into assurance. You'll learn how to ask for help clearly and, most importantly, how to understand the rapid-fire instructions you'll get in return. Our scenario is a tourist, Luca, who is trying to find the Central Museum. He stops a local, Sarah, to ask for help. This dialogue is packed with prepositions of place, sequence words, and common phrases used in guiding someone. Listen to this first version at a slower speed. Focus on the key landmarks and the order of the directions. A crucial tip for understanding past tense conversations: focus on the time markers and the stressed verbs. Words like Saturday, morning, evening give you the framework, while the past tense verbs carry the main action. In fast speech, we often drop auxiliary verbs like did in questions when speaking informally, but the main verb remains in its base form or past tense, so your brain can still grasp the meaning. Also, practice the intonation. When Ben says it was great, his voice might rise slightly on great to show enthusiasm. Mimic that emotion when you practice. It helps with memory and makes your speech more engaging. Try shadowing this dialogue, focusing on copying the rhythm rather than perfection. Remember, fluency in storytelling is about connecting events smoothly, so practice using then, after that, and so to link your ideas. Now, listen to the natural version one more time and imagine you're telling your own story. You've got this. Excellent. You're doing incredible work, and with every conversation, you're building a stronger, more intuitive understanding of spoken English. Now, let's move into a slightly more complex but equally common area, discussing preferences and making a joint decision. This is where you move beyond simple exchanges and into the flow of a collaborative conversation. It requires understanding not just facts, but opinions, suggestions, and agreements. Think about trying to decide with a friend what movie to watch or where to eat. It's a dance of ideas, and it's a key skill for social fluency. Today, we'll practice two friends deciding on plans for the evening. This will help you recognize how people politely suggest, agree, disagree, and compromise in real time. Our conversation is between Maria and David. They need to choose a restaurant for dinner. Listen to the first version carefully. Pay attention to the language they use to make suggestions and express their preferences. Maria: So, David, any ideas for dinner tonight? I'm feeling a bit hungry. David: Me too. How about we try some Italian food? I haven't had pasta in ages. Maria: Italian sounds good, but I had pizza for lunch. Maybe something different? David: Okay, no problem. What do you think about Thai food? There's that new place near the station. Maria: Oh, I've heard that's really spicy. I'm not sure I'm in the mood for very spicy food today. David: That's fair. We could go for something simpler, like burgers? Maria: Actually, yeah, burgers sound perfect. There's that great burger shop on Main Street. David: Great idea. Let's go there. What time should we meet? Maria: Is 7:30 okay for you? David: 7:30 is perfect. See you then. Good. You can see the pattern of suggestion, counter-suggestion, and finally, agreement. Now, let's listen to how this sounds in a natural, fast-paced chat between friends. Notice how they use filler words and shorter phrases to keep the conversation moving smoothly. Maria: So, David, what you wanna do for dinner? I'm starvin'. David: Tell me about it. How about Italian? I haven't had pasta in ages. Maria: Italian's good, but I had pizza for lunch. Something else maybe? David: Sure, no worries. What about Thai? That new place by the station? Maria: Oh, I heard that's super spicy. Not sure I'm up for that tonight. David: Gotcha. We could just do burgers or something? Maria: Yeah, actually, burgers sound awesome. There's that great spot on Main Street. David: Sold. Let's do it. What time? Maria: 7:30 work for you? David: 7:30's good. See ya then. Hear the difference? The language is much more compact. What do you want becomes what you wanna, and I am starving becomes I'm starvin'. David uses how about instead of how about, and Maria says something else maybe, instead of maybe something different. This is the essence of informal spoken English. Also, note how David says gotcha to mean I understand, and sold, to show he enthusiastically agrees. These small words and phrases are the glue of natural conversation. A key listening tip here is to focus on the words that signal opinion and agreement. Phrases like how about, what about, maybe, and actually are your cues that a suggestion or a slight disagreement is coming. Words like sounds good, perfect, awesome, and sold signal agreement. When you train your ear to catch these signals, you can follow the conversation's direction even if you miss a few words. Practice this dialogue by playing both parts. Try to use the same intonation. When Maria says something else maybe, her voice might rise at the end, making it sound like a gentle question. This practice will make your own conversational skills much more dynamic and natural. You're not just learning words, you're learning the art of interaction. You're making fantastic progress. We've navigated social chats, phone calls, and even making plans. But now, let's tackle a scenario that can cause real anxiety, explaining a problem and seeking help. Specifically, we're going to practice a conversation you might have at a pharmacy. Whether it's a headache, a small allergy, or a minor cut, being able to describe your symptoms clearly and understand the pharmacist's advice is an invaluable skill. This dialogue will introduce you to common health-related vocabulary, but more importantly, it will train your ear to catch crucial instructions about dosage and safety, which are often spoken quickly. Listen to this first version at a clear, measured pace. Focus on how the customer describes the problem and how the pharmacist asks clarifying questions before giving recommendations. Customer, excuse me, I need some help please. Pharmacist, of course. What seems to be the problem? Customer, I have a terrible headache. I've had it since this morning, and it won't go away. Pharmacist, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you experiencing any other symptoms? Like a fever or nausea? Customer, no, just the headache. I think it might be because I didn't sleep well last night. Pharmacist, I see. Well, I can recommend this pain relief medication. It's very effective for headaches. You should take 2 tablets with a full glass of water. Customer, thank you. How often can I take it? Pharmacist, do not take more than 2 tablets every 4 hours. And make sure you rest and drink plenty of water. Customer, I will. Thank you for your help. Okay, that was very clear. You heard key phrases like terrible headache, other symptoms, and important instructions about dosage. Now, let's hear how this interaction would sound in a real pharmacy, where the speech is faster and more efficient. The customer might be feeling unwell, so their speech could be a little less formal, and the pharmacist will be professional but quick. Customer, excuse me, I need a bit of help. Pharmacist, sure, what's going on? Customer, I've got a really bad headache. Had it all morning, just won't shift. Pharmacist, oh, that's no good. Any other symptoms? Fever? Feeling sick? Customer, no, just the headache. Probably from a bad night's sleep. Pharmacist, right. Well, I'd suggest these tablets. They're good for headaches. Take 2 with a full glass of water. Customer, thanks. How often? Pharmacist, no more than 2 every 4 hours. And try to get some rest, drink lots of water. Customer, will do. Thanks a lot. Hear the natural flow? What seems to be the problem became the more casual what's going on. The customer said won't shift instead of won't go away, which is a common informal alternative. The pharmacist used I'd suggest instead of I can recommend, and the instruction do not take was phrased more conversationally as no more than 2. This is how instructions are often given in everyday English, clear but not overly formal. A critical listening tip for these situations: zero in on the numbers and time frames. Your priority is to catch 2 tablets and every 4 hours. These are the non-negotiable details. Also, notice the softening language the pharmacist uses, I'd suggest. And try to get some rest. This is polite and reassuring. Practice shadowing this conversation, paying special attention to the concerned but helpful tone of the pharmacist and the tired tone of the customer. This will help you not only understand but also reproduce the appropriate emotion in such situations. Remember, in health-related conversations, clarity is safety. Now, listen to the natural version one more time, focusing intensely on the dosage instructions. This practice isn't just about language, it's about empowerment. Incredible! You're building a powerful toolkit for everyday English, from social chats to important situations like the pharmacy. Now, let's explore another universal experience, shopping. But not just buying something, this time, we're dealing with a slight complication. You need to return an item. This conversation requires clarity, politeness, and a good understanding of common store policies. It's a fantastic way to practice stating a problem calmly and understanding the solutions offered by a customer service representative. The language here is key to being a confident consumer in an English-speaking country. Our dialogue is between a customer, Liam, and a store assistant, Sophie. Liam is returning a shirt that doesn't fit. Listen to the first version for the structure of the interaction. Notice how Liam explains the reason for the return and how Sophie guides him through the process. Liam: hello, I'd like to return this shirt, please. Sophie: certainly. Do you have the receipt with you? Liam: yes, here it is. Sophie: thank you. May I ask what the reason for the return is? Liam: it's the wrong size. It's too small for me. Sophie: I understand. Would you like to exchange it for the correct size, or would you prefer a refund? Liam: a refund would be great, thank you. Sophie: of course. That's not a problem. I'll just process this for you. It will be refunded to your original payment method. It might take a few days to appear in your account. Liam: that's fine. Thank you for your help. Sophie: you're welcome. Have a nice day. Good. That was a straightforward and polite exchange. You heard key phrases like I'd like to return this, do you have the receipt, and the options exchange or refund. Now, let's listen to how this sounds in a busy store, where the assistant might speak a little faster, using common retail shorthand. Liam: hi, I need to return this shirt, please. Sophie: sure, do you have the receipt? Liam: yep, right here. Sophie: thanks. Okay, what's the reason for the return? Liam: it's too small. Just doesn't fit. Sophie: got it. Did you want to exchange it for a different size, or just get a refund? Liam: just a refund, please. Sophie: no problem. I can do that for you right now. The money'll go back on your card, should show up in a couple of days. Liam: perfect, thanks. Sophie: you're welcome. Have a good one. Hear the natural flow? I would like became I need to, or simply I'd like is common. Certainly became sure. Sophie says did you wanna? Instead of would you like to, which is very common in spoken English. A couple of days becomes a couple of days. The information is identical, but the delivery is more efficient and casual. A crucial tip for understanding these service interactions: listen for the key nouns and verbs that define the transaction. Your brain should latch onto words like return, receipt, size, exchange, refund, card, and days. These are the pillars of the conversation. The surrounding words are important, but these keywords will give you the core meaning. Also, notice the polite but efficient intonation. Liam states his problem calmly, and Sophie uses a helpful tone. Practice this dialogue, focusing on maintaining a polite and patient tone even if you have to imagine a slight inconvenience. This will prepare you for real-life situations where staying calm and clear is the key to a smooth resolution. You're not just learning to return a shirt, you're learning to advocate for yourself politely and effectively in English. You've just handled a return like a pro, and that confidence is exactly what we're building with every practice session. But let's shift gears from solving problems to building connections. How do you answer when someone asks, "So, what do you do for fun?" For many learners, talking about hobbies can be tricky. You might know the words for your interests, but stringing them together into a smooth, natural-sounding description feels challenging. You don't want to just list activities, you want to share your passion. That's the key to moving from simple answers to real conversations. Today, we're going to practice how to talk about hobbies and interests in a way that sounds fluent and engaging. This is about adding color to your conversations and making them more memorable. Our dialogue features two coworkers, Emma and Tom, who are on their lunch break. They're getting to know each other better by talking about what they like to do in their free time. This is perfect for practicing present tense for habits, adverbs of frequency, and vocabulary for leisure activities. Listen to the first version at a slower pace. Focus on how they describe their hobbies and ask follow-up questions to keep the conversation flowing. Emma: "So, Tom, what do you usually do in your free time?" Tom: "Well, I'm really into photography. I love going out on weekends and taking pictures of the city." Emma: "Oh, that sounds interesting. What kind of camera do you use?" Tom: "I have a mirrorless camera. It's not too big, so it's easy to carry around." "How about you? What are your hobbies?" Emma: "I'm a big reader. I try to read for at least an hour every evening. It helps me relax." Tom: "What genre do you like?" Emma: "Mostly mystery novels. I love trying to solve the crime before the end of the book." Tom: "That's cool. I should read more. Do you have any recommendations?" Okay, that was a friendly and structured chat. You heard phrases like "I'm really into," "I love," and follow-up questions like "what kind of," and "how about you?" Now, let's listen to how this conversation sounds in a natural, casual setting between colleagues. The pace will be quicker, with more contractions and informal language. Emma: "So, Tom, what do you usually get up to in your free time?" Tom: "Oh, I'm really into photography. Love going out on weekends, taking pics of the city." Emma: "Oh, nice. What kind of camera do you use?" Tom: "I've got a mirrorless one. Not too big, so it's easy to carry around." "How about you? What are your hobbies?" Emma: "I'm a huge reader. Try to read for like an hour every night. Helps me unwind." Tom: "What sort of books do you like?" Emma: "Mostly mysteries. Love trying to figure out who did it before the end." Tom, that's awesome. I should read more. Got any good recommendations? Hear the difference? What do you became what Jew, and taking pictures softened to talking pics. Emma says what kind of is what kinda, and Tom uses how about you, instead of how about you. Notice how I try to read becomes try to read, with I implied, and it helps me relax is more casually expressed as helps me unwind. These small changes make the dialogue flow much more naturally. A vital tip for talking about hobbies: use adverbs of frequency to sound more natural. Words like usually, often, sometimes, and always add context to your habits. For example, I usually go hiking on Sundays sounds better than just I go hiking. Also, pay attention to the intonation when expressing interest. When Emma says "oh, nice," her voice likely rises with enthusiasm, showing genuine curiosity. When you practice, mimic this energy, it makes your conversation more engaging. Try shadowing this dialogue, focusing on copying the rhythm and the linking of words. Then, think about your own hobbies and practice describing them using the same sentence structures. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect, but to be understood and to connect with others. Now, listen to the natural version one more time and imagine you're sharing your own passions. You're building the skills to have richer, more personal conversations in English. You're doing brilliantly. We've covered so much ground, from casual chats to specific situations. Now, let's step into a context that is crucial for many learners: the workplace. Even if you don't work in an English-speaking office, understanding a simple workplace conversation helps you follow scenes in movies, engage in broader discussions, and feel more confident in professional settings. Today, we'll practice a very common task: scheduling a meeting. This might sound formal, but in many modern offices, the language is quite casual and collaborative. The key is to catch the specific details: the day, the time, the place, amidst the friendly back and forth. Our conversation is between two colleagues, Rachel and Mark. Rachel needs to schedule a brief meeting with Mark to discuss a project. Listen to this first version to get comfortable with the vocabulary and the structure of the request. Rachel: hi Mark, do you have a quick minute? Mark: sure, Rachel. What's up? Rachel: I wanted to talk about the upcoming project. Would it be possible to meet sometime this week? Mark: of course. Let me check my calendar. How about Wednesday afternoon? I'm free after 2 p.m. Rachel: Wednesday at 2 p.m. works for me. Should we meet in the small conference room? Mark: the small conference room is perfect. I'll book it for us. Rachel: great. I'll send you a calendar invitation with the details. Mark: thanks, see you then. Okay, that was clear and polite. You heard key phrases like would it be possible to meet, how about, and specific terms like check my calendar and conference room. Now, let's hear how this sounds in a more fast-paced, informal office environment. The language will be more direct and efficient. Rachel: hey Mark, you got a sec? Mark: yeah, what's going on? Rachel: I wanted to chat about the new project. Think we could meet up this week? Mark: sure thing. Let me check my schedule. What about Wednesday afternoon? I'm free after 2. Rachel: Wednesday at 2's good. Wanna just meet in the small conference room? Mark: small conference room works. I'll grab it for us. Rachel: awesome. I'll send you a calendar invite. Mark, perfect. Catch you then. Hear the natural flow? Do you have a quick minute? Became the much more common you got a sec? Would it be possible change to the more direct think we could? How about became what about, and should we meet turned into the casual wanna just meet? Mark says I'll book it as I'll grab it, which is a very informal way to say you'll reserve something. These shifts are small but make a huge difference in sounding natural. A crucial listening tip for scheduling conversations: focus like a laser on the time and place prepositions. Your brain must catch Wednesday, afternoon, after 2, and in the small conference room. These are the critical details. Also, notice the intonation. When Rachel suggests wanna just meet in the small conference room, her voice might rise slightly at the end, making it a suggestion rather than a statement. Practice this dialogue by shadowing, and pay special attention to linking words like Wednesday _ at 2, which often sound like one word. This is how you train your ear to catch the essential information quickly. You're not just learning to schedule a meeting, you're learning to navigate the subtle, efficient language of collaboration. After mastering the collaborative language of the workplace, it's time to focus on a conversation that impacts our well-being directly, making a doctor's appointment. I remember feeling a knot in my stomach the first time I had to call a clinic in English. What if I couldn't explain my symptoms clearly? What if I misunderstood the instructions? This fear is common, but overcoming it is incredibly empowering. Being able to navigate healthcare conversations calmly and effectively is not just about vocabulary, it's about confidence and clarity when it matters most. Today, we'll practice a phone call to schedule an appointment. This will help you master the language of dates, times, and brief symptom description, all while training your ear to catch essential details spoken efficiently by receptionists. Our dialogue is between a patient, Daniel, and a medical receptionist, Mrs. Evans. Daniel needs to see a doctor for a persistent cough. Listen to this first version at a clear pace. Focus on how Daniel states his reason for calling and how the receptionist gathers necessary information. Daniel, hello, I'd like to make an appointment with Dr. Smith, please. Receptionist, good morning. Of course. May I have your name and date of birth first? Daniel, yes, it's Daniel Brown. My date of birth is June 15, 1985. Receptionist, thank you, Mr. Brown. What is the reason for your visit today? Daniel, I've had a bad cough for about a week, and I'm feeling quite tired. Receptionist, I see. We have an available slot this Thursday at 10 a.m. Would that work for you? Daniel, Thursday at 10 a.m.? Yes, that should be fine. Receptionist, perfect. I have you down for Thursday at 10 a.m. with Dr. Smith. Please arrive 15 minutes early to complete any paperwork. Daniel, I will. Thank you very much. Receptionist, you're welcome. We'll see you then. Okay, that was structured and polite. You heard key phrases like make an appointment, reason for your visit, and important details like dates and times. Now, let's listen to how this sounds in a real-life phone call. Receptionists are often busy, so their speech might be quicker but still clear. Notice the natural flow and reductions. Daniel, hi, I need to make an appointment with Dr. Smith, please. Receptionist, good morning. Sure, what's your name and date of birth? Daniel Brown, June 15, 1985. Receptionist, thanks, Mr. Brown. What's this regarding? Daniel, I've had this cough for a week now, and I'm really tired. Receptionist, okay. We've got an opening Thursday at 10 a.m. Work for you? Daniel, Thursday at 10? Yeah, that works. Receptionist, great, you're all set for Thursday at 10 with Drive Smith. Try to get here about 15 minutes early to fill out some forms. Daniel, will do. Thanks a lot. Receptionist, no problem. See you Thursday. Hear the difference? I would like became I need to, and may I have changed to what's your name? What is the reason was shortened to what's this regarding, which is very common. The receptionist says we've got an opening instead of we have an available slot, and work for you is a casual form of would that work for you? These changes make the conversation faster and more direct. A critical listening tip for appointment setting: prioritize numbers and specific terms. Your brain must catch the date, Thursday, time, 10 a.m., and any instructions like 15 minutes early. These are the anchors of the conversation. Also, practice recognizing questions that seek specific information. What's your name? What's your date of birth? What's this regarding? These are standard, so being ready for them reduces anxiety. When you practice, shadow the dialogue, paying close attention to the polite but efficient tone of the receptionist. This will help you respond calmly and clearly in real situations. Remember, in healthcare communication, precision is key, so confirming details like Thursday at 10 is always a good habit. You're not just learning to make an appointment, you're learning to take control of your health in English. You've just successfully navigated a healthcare call, a huge step in functional fluency. Now, let's talk about a conversation that is all about hope, ambition, and connection, discussing future plans and goals. This is where language becomes more than just practical, it becomes personal. Sharing your dreams for the future, whether it's a career change, a travel goal, or a personal project, requires a different set of tools. You need to express intentions, possibilities, and hopes. I found that when I learned to talk about my future in English, it stopped feeling like a foreign language and started feeling like my language. It's a powerful shift. Today, we'll practice a conversation between two friends discussing their goals for the next year. This is perfect for practicing future tenses, conditional structures, and vocabulary of aspiration. Our dialogue features Sophia and Leo, who are catching up over coffee. They're talking about what they want to achieve in the coming months. Listen to the first version to get comfortable with the expressions of future intention and the supportive language friends use. Sophia: so, Leo, the year is going by so quickly. Do you have any big plans for the rest of the year? Leo: actually, I do. I'm thinking about finally starting that online course in graphic design. It's something I've wanted to do for ages. Sophia: that's a fantastic idea. You've always been so creative. When are you planning to start? Leo: I'm hoping to enroll next month. It's part-time, so I can manage it with my current job. What about you? Any goals? Sophia: well, my goal is to save enough money to visit Japan next spring. I've been dreaming about it forever. Leo: wow, Japan. That sounds incredible. How are you going to make that happen? Sophia: I'm going to cut down on eating out and put aside a fixed amount every month. It will require some discipline, but I think it's possible. Leo: I'm sure you can do it. We'll have to celebrate when you book your tickets. Okay, that was motivating and clear. You heard phrases like I'm thinking about, I'm hoping to, I'm planning to, and my goal is to. Now, let's listen to how this inspiring chat really sounds between friends. The language will be more fluid and emotionally expressive. Sophia, so, Leo, this year's flying by. Got any big plans for the rest of the year? Leo, yeah, actually. I'm thinking I'm finally gonna start that online course in graphic design. Wanted to do it for ages. Sophia, that's awesome. You're so creative, it's perfect for you. When do you think you'll start? Leo, hoping to enroll next month. It's part-time, so I can juggle it with work. How about you? What's your goal? Sophia, well, I'm really trying to save up for a trip to Japan next spring. Been dreaming about it forever. Leo, Japan? No way, that's amazing. How are you gonna pull that off? Sophia, gonna cut back on takeaways and save a bit each month. Gotta be strict, but I reckon I can do it. Leo, you totally can. We'll have to go out for a drink when you book it. Hear the natural enthusiasm? I am thinking about becomes I'm thinking I'm finally gonna start. I am going to is almost always I'm gonna in informal speech. Sophia says I'm really trying to, which shows effort, and I reckon I can do it is a very natural alternative to I think it's possible. Leo's supportive phrase you totally can is more emphatic than the formal I'm sure you can do it. A vital tip for discussing the future, focus on the verbs of intention. Words and phrases like gonna, hoping to, planning to, trying to, and want to are your signals that someone is talking about a plan or a goal. The intonation is also key. Notice how Leo's voice probably rises with excitement when he says that's awesome, and how Sophia's determination comes through in gotta be strict. When you practice, put that same emotion into your voice. It makes the language come alive. Shadow this conversation, and then pause to talk about your own goals using these same sentence structures. You're learning to do more than just speak English, you're learning to share your future in English. Perfect! You're learning to articulate your dreams, which is a beautiful aspect of fluency. Now, let's explore a conversation that requires a delicate balance, giving advice. This is where we move beyond sharing our own stories and into the realm of supporting others. Knowing how to offer suggestions politely, without sounding imposing, is a subtle art in any language. In English, we often use softeners like maybe, have you thought about, or one idea could be to make advice sound collaborative rather than commanding. Today, we'll practice a conversation where one friend seeks guidance on a common challenge, improving their English skills. This will allow us to recycle some of our practice themes while focusing on the language of suggestion and encouragement. Our dialogue is between Clara, who is feeling frustrated with her progress, and her friend Noah, who offers support and ideas. Listen to the first version to hear how advice is framed in a supportive, non-intrusive way. Clara, Noah, can I ask you for some advice? I feel like my English isn't getting any better. I study, but I don't feel more fluent. Noah, I understand how you feel. It's a common plateau. What are you doing to practice right now? Clara, mostly just vocabulary apps and grammar exercises. Noah, okay. Well, one thing that really helped me was to focus more on listening. Maybe you could try listening to English podcasts every day? Clara, that's a good idea. But what if I don't understand everything? Noah, you don't have to understand every word. The goal is to get your ears used to the rhythm. Another thing you could do is try to think in English for a few minutes each day. Clara, think in English? How does that work? Noah, just simple thoughts, like I need a coffee or it's a sunny day. It helps you form connections without translating. Clara, those are really helpful suggestions. Thanks, Noah. Noah, anytime. Just remember to be patient with yourself. Okay, that was supportive and clear. You heard key advice phrases like one thing that helped me, maybe you could try, and another thing you could do. Now, let's listen to how this comforting and helpful conversation sounds in a natural, friendly tone. Clara, Noah, can I get your advice? I'm just stuck. My English doesn't seem to be improving. I study, but I'm not getting more fluent. Noah, I get that. Happens to everyone. What's your practice like now? Clara, mostly just vocab apps and some grammar stuff. Noah, right. You know, what really helped me was focusing on listening. Have you thought about trying English podcasts daily? Clara, that's a thought. But I'm worried I won't get it all. Noah, you don't need to catch every single word. It's more about getting the rhythm. Another idea, try thinking in English for a few minutes a day. Clara, think in English? How'd you mean? Noah, just little stuff, like I'm hungry or this bus is late. It helps your brain switch gears without translation. Clara, that's actually really helpful. Thanks, Noah. Noah, no worries. Just don't be too hard on yourself. Hear the natural flow? What are you doing became what's your practice like? Maybe you could try transformed into the more collaborative have you thought about trying? Noah uses as a filler to soften his suggestion and another idea instead of another thing you could do. The language is less structured but feels more like a genuine conversation between friends. A crucial tip for understanding advice: listen for the suggestion verbs and softeners. Words like maybe, perhaps, try, how about, and one idea are your cues that a piece of advice is coming. The intonation is also important. Noah's tone is likely calm and encouraging, not forceful. When you practice this dialogue, focus on that supportive tone. It's not just about the words, it's about the warmth behind them. Try shadowing both roles, and when you're Noah, imagine you're genuinely trying to help a friend. This will train you to both give and receive advice effectively in English, strengthening your conversational skills and your connections with others. You've just learned how to give and receive advice with grace, a skill that deepens any friendship. Now, let's tackle a listening challenge that can cause panic even for advanced learners: understanding public announcements. Whether you're in a train station, an airport, or a busy store, these announcements are often muffled, spoken quickly, and full of specific vocabulary. I can't count how many times I've strained to hear a gate number or a delay announcement, my heart pounding. But once you learn the common patterns and phrases, you can tune your ear to pick out the crucial information. This practice will make travel and navigating public spaces in English-speaking countries so much less stressful. Our scene is a bustling train station. A traveler, Elena, is waiting for her train when an announcement comes over the loudspeaker. We'll listen to it first at a slower, clearer pace. Focus on identifying the key information: the train number, the destination, the platform, and any important status updates. Announcer, attention please. This is an announcement for the 10:15 a.m. train service to Bristol Temple Meads. The 10:15 a.m. service to Bristol Temple Meads is now ready for boarding. Please proceed to platform 4. We apologize for the delay. Thank you for your patience. Okay, that was deliberately clear. You heard the time, destination, platform number, and an apology for a delay. Now, let's hear how this would realistically sound in a noisy station, with the announcer speaking much faster and with more connected speech. This is the real test of your listening skills. Announcer, attention please. Announcement for the 10:15 service to Bristol Temple Meads. The 10:15 to Bristol Temple Meads is now ready for boarding. Please make your way to platform 4. We apologize for the delay. Thank you. Hear the difference? The articulation is less precise. 10:15 a.m. becomes 10:15, and this is an announcement for is shortened to announcement for. Proceed to is replaced with the more common make your way to. The final thank you for your patience is cut to a simple thank you. The rhythm is also very different, with words blending together in a stream of sound. A vital tip for decoding announcements: don't try to understand every word. Your goal is to catch the keywords. Train your brain to listen for the numbers, like 10:15 and platform 4, and the destination, Bristol Temple Meads. These are the anchors. The rest of the words are often formulaic, like attention please, ready for boarding, and apologize for the delay. Once you know these standard phrases, you can filter out the noise and focus on the changing details. Another trick is to listen for the stress. The most important words are stressed: boarding, platform 4, delay. Let your ear be drawn to those emphasized syllables. Practice this announcement several times, and try to write down just the key facts: time, destination, platform, status. This trains you for the real world, where you often only get one chance to hear it. You're not just listening, you're learning to filter essential information from the background noise of real life. And here we are. You've just successfully decoded a complex public announcement, a true sign of a developing and confident ear. Think back to that very first conversation, the simple act of ordering a coffee. Now, you're navigating train stations, understanding advice, discussing future dreams, and handling appointments. Look at how far you've come. This journey we've been on together wasn't just about learning to hear English, it was about learning to think in it, to anticipate its rhythms, and to feel its flow. You have trained your brain to move from isolated words to meaningful chunks of language, and that is the fundamental shift towards fluency. I want you to take a moment and appreciate this progress. Every conversation you practiced, every reduction you mastered, every time you shadowed a speaker, you were building a new neural pathway. You were quite literally rewiring your brain for English. The hesitation you might have felt at the beginning should now be replaced with a growing sense of confidence. You have the tools. You understand the methodology: active listening, repetition, and focused breakdowns. This isn't the end of your practice, this is the beginning of your independence. You now know how to practice effectively. So, what's next? Keep listening. Every day. Find podcasts on topics you love, watch movies with English subtitles, then without them, listen to music and try to decipher the lyrics. The world is full of authentic English content, and you are now equipped to use it as your personal classroom. The goal was never perfection, it was progress. And you have made so much of it. Thank you for allowing me to guide you on this part of your language learning adventure. Remember, fluency is a path, not a destination. You are walking it beautifully. Keep going, keep listening, and keep surprising yourself with what you can understand. You've got this. My heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty, and the 3 simple English words I needed to say felt like a physical barrier I could not cross. This single moment of fear, repeated over years, was the invisible wall standing between me and the English fluency I desperately wanted. If you have ever felt that same frustrating paralysis, that voice in your head telling you to wait until you are perfect, then you have already met the first of the 4 silent saboteurs that hold millions of English learners captive. I am going to guide you through unmasking each one of them, not with complex theories, but with a clear map that reveals why your hard work has not been paying off and exactly how to change that, starting today. The journey to unlocking a new language is often pictured wrong. We imagine it as a straight path of accumulating knowledge, where we collect new words and grammar rules until one day we are fluent. The reality is far more personal and much less linear. For a long time, I was my own biggest obstacle. I studied diligently, I consumed English media, and I could understand a great deal, yet when the moment to speak arrived, a mental gate slammed shut. I was not alone in this struggle. I have since discovered through extensive research and conversations with language experts that there are 4 fundamental traps that consistently derail adult learners. These are not failures of intelligence or effort, but rather misalignments in our approach, deeply rooted in our fears and misconceptions. The first of these traps, the one that held me back for the longest time, is the fear of speaking. This is not just simple nervousness. It is a deep-seated anxiety that transforms the simple act of communication into a high-stakes performance where every mistake feels like a public failure. Your mind becomes a hypercritical editor, scrutinizing every potential word before it can even leave your lips. You mentally check the verb tenses, you second-guess your vocabulary choice, you worry about your accent sounding foolish, and you imagine the confused or judgmental look on the listener's face. This internal process happens in seconds, but it is enough to make you hesitate, to stay silent, and to let the conversation move on without you. The opportunity vanishes, and with it, a little piece of your confidence erodes. This trap is particularly dangerous because it disguises itself as dedication. You tell yourself you are not ready yet, that you need to study more vocabulary or master a few more grammar rules before you can possibly attempt a real conversation. So, you retreat back to the safety of passive learning, accumulating more and more knowledge that remains trapped inside your head. You become a library of English that never lends out its books. You can understand nearly everything you hear and read, but the crucial skill of production, of actively forming sentences and expressing your thoughts, remains dormant and underdeveloped. This creates a frustrating imbalance where your comprehension level is high, but your speaking ability is stuck at a beginner level, and this gap can persist for years if left unaddressed. The way out of this first trap begins with a fundamental shift in perspective. You must stop viewing mistakes as evidence of failure and start seeing them as the most valuable data points on your learning journey. Every error you make is a tiny, flashing arrow pointing directly at exactly what you need to practice next. It is free, personalized feedback that you receive in real time. Consider native speakers. They make linguistic mistakes constantly, using slang, inventing words, and using improper grammar in casual settings. The crucial difference is that they do not let these imperfections stop the flow of their communication. Their primary goal is connection, not perfection. This is the mindset we must adopt. So, how do we practically implement this new mindset? We start by creating what I call safe practice zones. These are low-pressure environments where the sole objective is to communicate, not to be perfect. Your goal is to get your message across, however messy the process might be. One powerful method is to set a tiny, daily speaking goal that focuses solely on output. This could be recording a 2-minute voice memo on your phone describing your day, writing 2 comments in English on a social media post, or simply narrating your actions to yourself while you prepare a meal. The content is irrelevant, the act of producing English is everything. In these safe zones, give yourself explicit permission to make mistakes. In fact, aim to make them. When you do, instead of feeling shame, get curious. Ask yourself, what did that error teach me? Did I use the wrong tense? Did I misuse a preposition? This transforms the mistake from a personal failure into a puzzle piece in your larger learning picture. Start with the simplest topics imaginable. Describe the objects in your room. Talk about what you had for breakfast. Explain your plan for the afternoon. Use the basic vocabulary and simple sentence structures you are most confident with. The focus is on building the muscle memory of speech and breaking the psychological association between speaking English and experiencing anxiety. Think of speaking not as a test of your knowledge, but as a physical skill. You would not expect to learn how to swim by only reading a book about swimming techniques. You must get in the water, flail your arms, swallow some water, and gradually, your body learns the movements. Language is the same. Your mouth, your tongue, and your vocal cords need to practice the unique movements and sounds of English. Reading and listening are the theoretical preparation, but speaking is the practical training where true fluency is built. Therefore, you must create opportunities for this physical practice every single day. Read a paragraph from a book out loud, focusing on the rhythm and flow of the sentences. Shadow a podcast by repeating sentences just after you hear them. Talk to your reflection in the mirror. These small, consistent acts of courage are what will systematically dismantle the first and most damaging trap, the fear of speaking. The second formidable trap that ensnares countless eager learners is the grammar obsession trap. This is the belief that fluency is a puzzle that can be solved by mastering every single grammatical rule. Students who fall into this trap devote years to memorizing complex conditionals, intricate prepositional phrases, and every exception to the rule. They approach English with the mindset of a computer programmer, trying to code perfect sentences in their head before uttering them. While grammar provides the necessary structure for a language, treating it as the ultimate goal creates a significant bottleneck in your ability to communicate spontaneously and naturally. The problem with overanalyzing grammar in real-time conversation is that it forces your brain to operate in a slow, deliberate mode, when speaking requires speed and automaticity. In the middle of a sentence, you pause to consider whether you need the present perfect or the past simple tense. You hesitate because you are unsure if you should use a or the. This constant internal calculation destroys the natural rhythm of dialogue and makes you sound hesitant and unsure, even when your knowledge is extensive. You become so focused on the technical correctness of each tree that you lose sight of the entire forest, the actual conversation you are trying to have. Consider for a moment how children achieve fluency in their first language. They do not spend their early years diagramming sentences or studying textbooks. They learn through immersion and pattern recognition. They listen, they imitate, they make thousands of errors, and gradually, their brain internalizes a natural sense of what sounds right and what sounds wrong. This intuitive grasp of language is what allows native speakers to communicate effectively, even if they cannot articulate the grammatical rule they are using. As adult learners, we possess the same capacity for pattern recognition, but we often disable it by prioritizing intellectual analysis over intuitive practice. The most effective English communicators are not necessarily the walking grammar encyclopedias, they are the ones who have mastered the art of connection. They understand that the primary purpose of language is to share ideas, feelings, and information. They prioritize clarity and effectiveness over technical perfection. This is not an argument to abandon grammar entirely, but rather to learn it through a more organic and effective method. Instead of studying rules in isolation, shift your focus to noticing how grammar is used in authentic contexts. When you watch a movie or listen to a conversation, pay close attention to the verb tenses people use when telling stories about their past. Notice the common sentence structures used in everyday situations. Observe the prepositions that naturally follow certain verbs. This method of grammar spotting embeds the rules in your mind within a framework of real meaning and usage, making them far easier to recall and apply when you speak. Your goal should be to develop a feel for the language, a musical ear for its rhythm and flow. Focus your energy on mastering the grammatical structures that form the backbone of daily communication. The simple past and present tenses, basic prepositions, and common sentence patterns will serve you in 90% of your interactions. The more complex, conditional, or passive structures can be integrated later, as your confidence grows. Furthermore, practice grammar through active production. When you learn a new rule, do not just read examples, immediately write 5 original sentences using it or try to incorporate it into your next speaking practice. This active application moves the knowledge from your passive understanding to your active command, which is the true key to fluency. The third trap, and perhaps the most emotionally draining, is the comparison trap. This is the silent thief of joy and motivation in your language learning journey. It manifests when you constantly measure your own abilities against those of other learners. You hear a colleague speak fluently in a meeting, or you watch a polished polyglot on social media, and a wave of inadequacy washes over you. You think, "I will never be that good," and your motivation plummets. This trap is especially vicious in the age of social media, where you are presented with curated highlights of everyone's success, without any of the struggle, the years of effort, or the countless mistakes that preceded it. You see the final, polished product and compare it to your own messy, ongoing process. This creates a destructive cycle. The negative feelings from comparison drain your motivation to study and practice. With reduced practice, your progress naturally slows, which then seems to confirm your initial belief that you are not capable, further deepening your discouragement. It is a downward spiral that has led many capable learners to abandon their goals entirely, convinced they simply lack a special talent for languages. The fundamental truth you must internalize is that learning English is a personal journey, not a competitive race. Every single learner is starting from a different point, with different resources, different amounts of time to dedicate, different native languages that influence their learning, and different personal goals. The colleague who speaks fluently may have lived abroad for a year. The polyglot on YouTube may dedicate 8 hours a day to language study as their job. Their journey has no bearing on your own unique path. The antidote to the comparison trap is to become the author of your own success story. This means defining what fluency means to you personally. Is it being able to comfortably navigate a vacation abroad? Is it confidently presenting in a business meeting? Is it understanding your favorite films without subtitles? Your goals are yours alone, and your progress should be measured only against your own starting line and your own destination. Make these goals specific and personal, and you will rob comparison of its power. A highly effective technique to solidify this mindset is to maintain a progress journal. This is not a diary of your failures, but a dedicated record of your victories, no matter how small. Every day, write down one thing you accomplished in English. It could be a new word you successfully used in a sentence, a 5-minute conversation you had without switching back to your native language, or a song lyric you finally understood. When you feel the discouragement of comparison creeping in, you can open this journal and see the tangible evidence of your journey. You will see a timeline of your own improvement, which is far more motivating and relevant than anyone else's highlight reel. It is also crucial to understand and embrace your unique learning style. Everyone has natural strengths and weaknesses. You might struggle with pronunciation but have a fantastic memory for vocabulary. Another learner might speak fluently but make frequent grammar errors. This does not make one of you a better learner, it simply makes you different. Identify your strengths and use them to build your confidence. Simultaneously, acknowledge your weaker areas and dedicate focused, compassionate practice to them, without using them as a weapon against your self-esteem. Remember, the race is only with yourself. The fourth and final trap is so seductive because it feels incredibly productive. This is the passive learning trap. This occurs when the vast majority of your learning time is spent consuming English content, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, reading articles and books, without a balanced, dedicated effort to actively produce the language through speaking and writing. You are building your comprehension skills impressively, but you are not training your production skills. You are becoming a masterful listener and a silent scholar. This is like someone who wants to become a master chef spending all their time watching cooking shows, reading recipe books, and learning about techniques, but never actually stepping into the kitchen to chop an onion or light a stove. Their theoretical knowledge may be immense, but they lack the practical skill to create a meal. Similarly, passive learning builds your input, but it is active practice that builds your output. The ability to understand a complex sentence is a different neurological process from the ability to construct one spontaneously in conversation. The solution is not to stop passive learning, it is far too valuable for acquiring new vocabulary and getting a feel for the language's rhythm. The solution is to deliberately and systematically pair it with active practice. You must create a bridge that allows the knowledge you absorb passively to cross over into your active skill set. This requires a conscious shift in your routine. For every hour you spend in passive consumption, you should dedicate a portion of that time, even if it is just 10 or 15 minutes, to active use. One powerful method for doing this is the echo method. After you listen to a segment of a podcast or watch a segment of a video, press pause. Then, not by repeating it word for word like a parrot, but by summarizing what you just heard in your own words. This forces your brain to do the critical work of processing the information, selecting relevant vocabulary, and constructing original sentences to convey the meaning. It is a full-cycle workout for your language brain, moving seamlessly from input to output. Another excellent technique is the summary method. After you finish reading a news article or a blog post, close the tab and write a short paragraph summarizing the main points. This practice is invaluable because it trains you to organize your thoughts in English and use new vocabulary in a proper context, moving words from your recognition memory to your active recall memory. It builds the mental muscles needed for writing essays, emails, and reports in English. The key is to transform your passive activities into active learning sessions. Instead of just watching a movie, you can pause and repeat interesting lines of dialogue, focusing on the actor's pronunciation and intonation. Instead of just scrolling through social media, you can write a comment in English expressing your opinion on the post. The goal is to break the cycle of pure consumption and insert moments of creation throughout your learning day. I want to share a phrase with you that has become a personal mantra, one that I return to whenever I feel frustrated by the gap between my current abilities and my goals. This phrase is a gentle but powerful reminder that redefines the entire purpose of our practice. Our phrase of the day is this: practice makes progress, not perfection. Let that sink in for a moment. Practice makes progress, not perfection. So many of us carry the heavy burden of perfection, believing that every sentence must be flawless, every pronunciation must be native-like, and every grammar rule must be perfectly obeyed. This unrealistic standard is what fuels the fear of speaking and the grammar obsession trap. This phrase liberates us from that burden. It shifts the goal from an unattainable endpoint to a continuous, rewarding journey of improvement. Each time you practice, you are not failing to be perfect, you are succeeding in getting a little better. Each mistake is not a step away from perfection, it is a step forward in your progress, because it provides a clear lesson. You can use this phrase as a personal affirmation. Before you start a conversation in English, tell yourself, practice makes progress, not perfection. When you notice yourself hesitating because a sentence isn't ideal, remind yourself, the goal is progress, not perfection. You can also use it to encourage fellow learners. If you are in a language exchange and your partner apologizes for a mistake, you can smile and say, "It's okay, remember, practice makes progress, not perfection." This philosophy creates a supportive, low-pressure environment where real learning can thrive. Now, let us bring all of these concepts together into a clear and actionable plan. We have identified the 4 major traps: the fear of speaking, the grammar obsession trap, the comparison trap, and the passive learning trap. Understanding them is the first battle, but the war is won through consistent, deliberate action. The true transformation of your English journey begins not just with knowledge, but with the application of that knowledge. It starts with a conscious decision to change one thing today. I want you to take a moment of self-reflection. Look at these 4 traps and identify the one that resonates most deeply with you. Which one feels most familiar? Is it the heart-pounding anxiety that stops you from speaking? Is it the endless cycle of grammar study that never seems to translate into fluent speech? Is it the discouragement you feel when comparing yourself to others? Or is it the comfortable but ineffective routine of only listening and reading without actively producing the language? Choose one. Just one. This week, your mission is to declare war on that single trap. If you chose the fear of speaking, your goal is not to become a flawless speaker, it is to speak for 2 minutes every day in a safe, private space. If you chose the grammar obsession trap, your goal is to have one 5-minute conversation where you forbid yourself from self-correcting any grammar mistakes. If you chose the comparison trap, your goal is to write down 3 things you did well in English each day in your progress journal. If you chose the passive learning trap, your goal is to actively summarize the next podcast you listen to, out loud or in writing. This focused approach prevents overwhelm and creates a tangible victory. You will be amazed at how tackling one of these foundational issues can have a ripple effect, loosening the grip of the other traps and building incredible momentum. Notice the subtle shifts in your confidence after just a few days of this targeted practice. Pay attention to the small moments of victory, the time a word came to you faster, the time you understood a joke, the time you spoke without overthinking. These are the true measures of your progress, the proof that your methods are working. Let us delve deeper into the architecture of these safe practice zones. Building an environment where you feel psychologically secure to make mistakes is perhaps the most critical skill you can develop. The foundation of this zone is the explicit permission you grant yourself to be imperfect. This is not a passive acceptance but an active invitation. You are not merely allowing mistakes, you are welcoming them as the most honest and useful feedback mechanism you have. This mindset transforms your practice from a performance into an investigation. A powerful technique to solidify this is what I call the 2-minute voice memo habit. Every day, without fail, open the voice recorder on your phone and speak in English for exactly 2 minutes. The topic is unimportant. You can describe the weather outside your window, talk about a dream you had, explain what you are working on, or even vent about a minor frustration. The rules are simple. You cannot stop recording, and you cannot delete and restart. You must push through the hesitations, the ems and ahs, the grammatical errors, and the moments where you forget a word. This exercise trains you to maintain the flow of speech under pressure, which is the exact skill you need in real conversations. After the 2 minutes are up, you have a choice. You can delete the memo immediately, its purpose already served. Or, if you are feeling brave, you can listen back to it. This is not for self-criticism, but for curious observation. Listen for patterns. Do you consistently hesitate before using a particular tense? Do you mispronounce the same word? This is not a list of your failures. It is a treasure map pointing to the specific areas that require your focused attention. This daily ritual builds a habit of courage and creates a tangible record of your progress over weeks and months. Another highly effective safe zone is what I termed shower conversations. The private, solitary space of your shower is the perfect place to simulate dialogues. Imagine you are explaining your job to a new colleague. Practice ordering food at a restaurant. Rehearse a difficult conversation you need to have. The running water provides a blanket of privacy, freeing you from any self-consciousness. Here, you can stumble, self-correct, and try different ways of phrasing things without any external judgment. This practice builds the neural pathways for spontaneous speech, making it increasingly likely that the right words will come to you when you are in an actual social situation. The ultimate goal of these exercises is to decouple the act of speaking from the fear of negative evaluation. By repeatedly exposing yourself to the act of producing English in a zero-consequence environment, you systematically desensitize yourself to the anxiety. The mental barriers begin to crumble because you are proving to yourself, day after day, that the worst-case scenario, making a mistake, is not a catastrophe but a routine part of the process. You are building fluency not by avoiding errors, but by developing the resilience to communicate through them. Now, let us turn our attention to the second trap with a new perspective. The grammar obsession trap often stems from a misunderstanding of what language truly is. We are taught to think of it as a fixed set of rules, like the code of a computer program. But in reality, language is a living, breathing, and evolving organism. It is a fluid tool for human connection, not a rigid mathematical formula. The most beautiful and effective conversations are often those that break the rules for the sake of meaning, emotion, or rhythm. Think about the last conversation you had in your native language. Did you consciously analyze the subject-verb agreement in each sentence? Did you pause to consider the definitive article before every noun? Almost certainly not. You spoke from intuition, from a deep-seated feel for what sounds correct. This is the state we must strive for in English. This intuitive sense, often called acquisition in language learning science, is developed not through memorization, but through massive exposure and practice. It is the difference between knowing the rule about the past perfect tense and instinctively feeling that I had already eaten is the right way to complete a story about a past event. To cultivate this intuition, we must change how we interact with English media. Instead of being a passive consumer, become an active detective. When you watch a film or listen to a song, do not just follow the plot or the melody. Actively listen for the structures you have been studying. Notice how native speakers consistently use contractions like I'm or don't. Observe how they often drop the G and ing endings in casual speech. Pay attention to the common phrases they use to agree, to disagree, or to show surprise. You are not just being entertained, you are collecting data on how the language truly operates in the wild. This detective work should extend to your reading as well. When you encounter a complex sentence that you understand perfectly, go back and analyze it not from a rule-based perspective, but from a pattern-based one. Ask yourself, what is the core idea here? How are the words arranged to convey that idea? Can I identify a useful chunk or phrase that I can use myself? This process helps you internalize the architecture of the language in a way that pure grammar study never can. You are learning to see the underlying patterns that make communication efficient and natural. The goal is to move grammar from the forefront of your mind to the background. It should become the supporting structure, not the main actor. When you speak, your primary focus must be on the person you are talking to and the message you want to share. The grammar should be there to serve that message, flowing automatically from the intuitive sense you have built through your detective work and practice. This is how you escape the trap of overthinking and start speaking a language that is not only correct but, more importantly, alive and connected. This is the final and most important step. It is the moment where knowledge must transform into a lasting, tangible change in your daily life. Understanding the traps is the map, but your consistent action is the journey. The path to fluency is paved not with grand, occasional gestures, but with the small, deliberate choices you make every single day. It is the 2-minute voice memo you record when you are tired, the conscious decision to focus on communication during a stressful conversation, and the gentle refusal to compare your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20. Your journey is unique and valuable. The world does not need another perfect English speaker, it needs your voice, your ideas, and your stories, shared with the confidence that comes from embracing progress over perfection. You have the tools. You understand the landscape. The only thing left is to begin, to stumble, to learn, and to rise again, each time with greater strength and clarity than before. Your fluency is not a distant destination on a far-off horizon. It is being built right now, in the choices you make today. Believe in the process, trust in your own capacity for growth, and take that first small, courageous step. The rest will follow. This has been our journey through the silent saboteurs of English fluency. Thank you for walking this path with me. Remember, your voice matters. Now, go and let the world hear it. Do you want to know the single most liberating truth about mastering the English language? It's a truth I wish someone had shouted at me years ago, a truth that shatters every excuse and dismantles every wall of fear. Listen, because this changes everything. English is not this monumental, impossible mountain you have to climb. It is a path, and I am here to walk it with you. You absolutely can achieve fluency in English, and you can do it much sooner than you ever believed possible. I see it all the time. That flicker of panic in your eyes when someone asks you a question in English. The hesitation that steals your words. The frustrating feeling of your mind going completely blank, even though you know you've studied the vocabulary. You understand it when you hear it, you can read it with ease, but the moment you need to produce a sentence, you freeze solid. I have lived this struggle myself. I know the unique frustration of having a thought trapped inside your head, unable to find the right words to set it free. I understand the overwhelm when native speakers seem to merge their words into one long, incomprehensible stream of sound. But today marks the end of that struggle. Today, you step out of that feeling of being stuck, because I will guide you toward the most natural and effortless way to learn. From this moment forward, I want you to consciously let go of every concept that ever made English seem hard. Erase the complicated grammar charts from your mind. Release the desperate need to be perfect. Let go of the fear, because here is the fundamental reason people fail to speak English. It is not a lack of knowledge. It is terror. The fear of being wrong, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of someone's judgment. Let me ask you something profound. How did you become so effortlessly fluent in your mother tongue? Did you spend your infancy memorizing verb conjugations and noun declensions? Of course not. You learned through constant, gentle exposure. You listened, you mimicked, you made 1,000 adorable mistakes, and you used the language to interact with your world every single day. This is the exact, natural process you will now use to learn English. You do not need to study English in the traditional sense. You need to live it, to breathe it. English must cease to be a subject you practice for a lonely hour each day. It must transform into a living, breathing part of your daily existence. You need to hear it, process your thoughts in it, and speak it as a regular part of your life. I can already sense the question forming in your mind. But how? How can I possibly make English a part of my life when I am not surrounded by it? Do not worry for a second. I will not simply offer you vague tips. I am going to take you by the hand and lead you on a transformative journey where English will cease to be a foreign language and start to feel like a second skin. So, let us take this first, crucial step together. Step 1. You must abolish the thought that English is difficult. This is the most important and foundational step. It is a shift in your very mindset. If you continue to believe English is a hard, complicated puzzle, your own brain will resist the learning process at every turn. But if you embrace the new belief that English is accessible and straightforward, you will unlock your brain's innate ability to absorb it quickly. Consider a baby learning to walk. That baby stumbles, tumbles, and falls down countless times. Does the baby decide walking is too difficult and simply give up? Never. The baby gets back up, determined, and tries again and again until one day, walking becomes an unconscious, effortless skill. This is the perfect metaphor for your journey with English. Mistakes are not failures, they are the very proof that you are learning. They are data points that guide your progress. If you are not making mistakes, you are not venturing outside your comfort zone, and therefore, you are not learning. I want you to say these words out loud with me right now. Let the sound of them reinforce their power. English is easy. I can speak English. I am learning and improving every single day. These are not just empty phrases. They are commands you are giving to your subconscious mind. The more you repeat them, the more deeply your brain will accept them as truth. From today onward, ban the phrases "my English is bad" or "I cannot speak English" from your vocabulary. Replace them with the empowering declaration, "I am learning and improving every day." This slight shift in your internal dialogue will create a dramatic difference in your learning outcomes. Now that you have begun the vital work of shifting your mindset, we move to step 2. You must immerse yourself in English. Completely surround yourself with it. A common myth is that you need to move to an English-speaking country to become fluent. This is simply not true. You have the power to craft your own personal English environment, no matter where you are located in the world. The first practical and incredibly effective action you can take is to change the language setting on your mobile phone and computer to English. This one simple change guarantees that every time you check the time, scroll through apps, or search for something, you are interacting with English vocabulary. Your brain will begin to recognize and accept these words passively, building comfort and familiarity without any strenuous effort. Next, we must tackle the way you think. Right now, you likely form your thoughts in your native language and then perform a laborious, slow translation process in your head before you speak. This is the primary cause of hesitation and broken speech. The solution is to start building your thoughts directly in English, beginning with the most basic concepts. When you wake up, instead of thinking, "I need to brush my teeth" in your native tongue, form the thought directly as, "I will brush my teeth now." When you are preparing a meal, think, "I am making tea." When you observe the world outside, think, "The sky is blue" or "The weather is nice." Initially, this will feel forced and strange, almost like a mental workout. But with consistent repetition, it will become second nature. Eventually, English thoughts will arise spontaneously and automatically. Another powerful technique to deepen this immersion is to start talking to yourself. Yes, I am completely serious. Hold conversations with yourself in English every single day. Stand in front of your bathroom mirror and speak. For example, say, "Hello, how are you feeling today? I am a little tired, but I have a good plan for the day. I will finish my work and then go for a walk." This may feel silly at first, but I promise you, it is one of the most effective methods to build speaking fluency. When you talk to yourself, you are practicing in a safe, zero-pressure environment where the fear of making mistakes vanishes. This practice builds a unique kind of confidence that directly translates to conversations with others. Let me introduce another simple yet profoundly powerful method to solidify your English environment: label the world around you. Take small pieces of paper or sticky notes and write the English names for common objects throughout your home. Attach these labels to your door, your window, your refrigerator, your mirror, your cup, and your table. Every time your gaze falls upon one of these labels, do not just read it silently. Speak the word aloud. For instance, when you see the label on your book, say, "This is my book." Then, create a simple sentence, "The book is resting on the table." If you see the label on your cup, state, "This is my favorite cup." Then build on it, "I drink my morning coffee from this cup." This process of visual recognition combined with verbal reinforcement trains your brain to create immediate, direct associations between the object and the English word, completely bypassing the need for internal translation. You are essentially building a neural pathway that connects the concept of the object directly to its English name. This is how you begin to recognize and eventually produce English automatically, without hesitation. This method turns your entire living space into an active, interactive classroom, and the best part is that the lessons are seamlessly woven into the fabric of your daily routine. You are not setting aside extra time to study, you are learning as you live. This leads us to step 3, which is perhaps the most liberating of all. You must stop worrying about grammar. So many learners are paralyzed by the belief that they need to master grammar rules before they are permitted to speak. This is a catastrophic error in approach. If you focus excessively on grammatical perfection, you will build a prison of fear for yourself, where every potential sentence is scrutinized for possible mistakes before it is even uttered. The key is to speak first and correct later. Reflect once more on how children acquire language. They do not attend lectures on the past perfect tense. They listen to the people around them, they imitate phrases, and through constant exposure and use, their understanding of grammar naturally and intuitively falls into place. This is the model you must adopt. Instead of memorizing abstract grammar rules from a textbook, redirect all that energy towards learning and using complete, simple sentences. For example, do not struggle to understand the intricate rules of the present continuous tense. Instead, simply learn and repeatedly use phrases like I am reading a book, she is driving to work, or they are watching a movie. By continually hearing, saying, and using these correct sentence structures, your brain will internalize the underlying grammatical patterns without you ever having to consciously think about the rule. The fundamental key here is to listen more and then mimic what you hear. Pay close attention to how native speakers construct their phrases in movies, podcasts, or conversations. When you hear a useful or common sentence, do not just nod and understand its meaning. Actively repeat it out loud. Copy the speaker's rhythm, their intonation, and the way they connect words. This practice of active imitation does more than just teach you vocabulary, it ingrains the musicality and structure of the language directly into your speech patterns. Now that you understand the core principles of changing your mindset, immersing yourself in the language, and liberating yourself from grammar fear, we are ready to go much deeper. It is time to put this all into practice in the most practical way possible. I am now going to show you how to actively speak English throughout your entire day. Many people struggle with speaking because they believe they lack specific, complex words. But I will let you in on a secret, you already know enough English to speak about your life. You simply need to activate the knowledge that is already inside you. Think carefully about your own daily routine from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you close them at night. You wake up, you get out of bed, you brush your teeth, you prepare and consume food, you interact with your family, you leave your home, you purchase items, you meet with friends, you attend your job or your classes, and in the evening, you finally relax before sleeping. Every single one of these universal activities can be described and experienced through the medium of English. If you deliberately practice using English to narrate your own life, the act of speaking will transform from a daunting test into an easy and natural expression. So, let us begin with the simplest and most consistent part of your day, your morning routine. This is your perfect, private rehearsal space. When you wake up, do not just get out of bed silently. Start narrating your actions in English. For example, as soon as you become conscious, you can say, "Good morning. I feel rested. It is time to get out of bed and start my day." When you walk into the bathroom, announce, "I am brushing my teeth now. The toothpaste tastes fresh. Now I am washing my face with cold water." When you step into the shower, you can say, "The water is warm and pleasant." When you proceed to the kitchen, describe your actions, "I am boiling water for my tea. The kettle is whistling. I am spreading butter on my toast. The critical point is to say these things out loud, even if you are entirely alone. Hearing your own voice form these sentences builds a physical familiarity with the language. The more you speak, the more comfortable and natural the words will feel in your mouth and in your mind. Now, let's elevate this from a monologue to a dialogue. Imagine you are having a conversation with your mother or a family member in the morning. Here is how a natural, simple exchange could unfold. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, dear. How did you sleep? I slept very deeply, thank you. What are you preparing for breakfast? I am making scrambled eggs and toast. Would you like a cup of tea? Yes, please. I would love some tea. Here you go. Be careful, the cup is hot. Thank you. It smells wonderful. This is a real, practical conversation that uses straightforward vocabulary and grammar. You do not need advanced words to communicate effectively, you need clear, simple sentences used with confidence. Now, let's take your English outside the home. When you go out into the world, you are surrounded by opportunities to practice. For example, if you are going to the local market, you can narrate your intentions. I need to buy some vegetables today. I have my shopping list with me. I will take the bus to the market. When you arrive at a shop and need to interact, you can practice a conversation like this. Excuse me, do you have fresh tomatoes available? Yes, we do. They are right here. How much does 1 kilo cost? It is $2 per kilo. That sounds good. I will take 2 kilos, please. Is there anything else you need? Yes, I also need some onions. Could I have half a kilo? Of course. Here you are. Your total is $5. Here is the money. Thank you for your help. Thank you. Have a pleasant day. This is a genuine, functional interaction that happens every day all over the world. By mentally rehearsing and then actively using these simple dialogues, you dismantle the fear of real-life communication. You are preparing your brain for successful interactions, ensuring you will never feel paralyzed when you need to speak in a shop again. Similarly, when you meet a friend, you can rely on these easy, natural phrases. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing well, thanks. How about you? I'm great. What have you been up to today? Not too much, just taking it easy. How was your morning? It was busy, but good. Would you like to go for a short walk? Yes, that's a wonderful idea. Let's go. If you decide to go to a cafe with your friend, you can practice the entire interaction from entering to ordering. Let's find a table. What would you like to drink? I think I will have a coffee. What about you? I am going to order a lemonade. It's quite warm today. Okay, let's get the server's attention. Excuse me. Hello, what can I get for you? We would like 1 coffee and 1 lemonade, please. Of course. Will that be all? Yes, that is everything for now. Thank you. Your drinks will be ready in just a moment. In the evening, when you are winding down, your English practice continues. If you are spending time with your family, a conversation might flow like this. Today felt like a very long day. What did you do with your afternoon? I went to the market and then I met my friend for a walk. That sounds lovely. What did you end up buying at the market? I bought some fresh vegetables and a few fruits for the week. That's good. Now, should we have dinner? I am feeling hungry. Yes, let's eat. I am quite hungry as well. Even as you prepare for sleep, you can solidify your learning. Talk to yourself in English about your day. Today was a productive day. I practiced my English several times. I feel good about my progress. Tomorrow, I will wake up early and continue my morning practice. Now, it is time to sleep. Good night. This consistent, gentle narration weaves English into the very fabric of your existence, transforming it from a subject to be studied into a tool for living. Now, let me share with you one of the most powerful secrets to achieving natural fluency, the method of active listening and immediate repetition. This is not passive listening where you simply absorb sounds. This is an engaged, dynamic process where you become an echo, faithfully reproducing what you hear. When you encounter a new sentence or phrase, your job is not just to comprehend it intellectually. Your mission is to physically repeat it aloud, mirroring the original speaker's pronunciation, their rhythm, and even their emotional tone. This practice of precise imitation is what builds muscular memory in your mouth and clarity in your speech. For example, if you hear a native speaker say, "I'm planning to visit the new museum this weekend," you should not just nod and move on. Pause the audio. Say the sentence out loud, "I'm planning to visit the new museum this weekend." Try to capture the linking of "I'm planning," the soft T in visit, and the flow of the entire statement. Repeat it several times until it feels smooth and natural coming from your lips. This daily exercise will dramatically improve both your pronunciation and your overall confidence, because you are training yourself to produce the authentic music of the English language. The magic of this technique is that it moves you beyond textbook English and into the realm of spoken, living English. You learn how words blend together, how intonation conveys meaning, and how to sound not just correct, but natural. This is the bridge between knowing words and truly owning them. It is the difference between reciting lines and speaking with genuine expression. Commit to this practice daily, and you will be astonished at how quickly your own speech begins to mirror the fluency you admire in others. Now that you possess the knowledge of how to integrate English into your daily life through narration and conversation practice, we are ready to elevate your skills to an entirely new level. It is time to address the final barriers that hold so many back. Many people reach a point where they have a functional knowledge of English, but they still hesitate to speak freely. This hesitation often stems from a fear that their pronunciation is unclear, or a deep-seated nervousness that arises during interactions with others. What I need you to understand is this profound truth: you do not need perfect English to speak with confidence. You can communicate effectively and confidently even while your skills are still developing. Today, I will provide you with the precise tools to refine your pronunciation, to sound more natural, and to speak English with unshakable self-assurance. If you diligently follow the guidance I am about to share, the feelings of shyness and fear that have plagued you will become a thing of the past. Let's first diagnose the common problem. So many individuals can understand English perfectly. They can read complex articles and write coherent emails, yet when the moment arrives to speak, a wave of anxiety crashes over them. Why does this happen? The reasons are usually these: first, an overwhelming fear of making a mistake. You are tormented by the thought, "What if I use the wrong word and sound foolish?" Second, a preoccupation with pronunciation. You feel that your accent is too strong or that you do not sound like a native speaker. Third, a simple lack of practice. You have not built the muscle of speaking, so it feels weak and unfamiliar. Fourth, and most critically, the habit of thinking in your native language first. You construct a perfect sentence in your mind in your mother tongue and then attempt to translate it word for word, which causes delays and awkward phrasing. Does this pattern feel familiar? If it does, I want you to know that the solution is within your grasp. If your goal is to speak English fluently, having clear pronunciation is essential. Please understand, you do not need to perfectly mimic an American or British accent. Your goal is simply to be easily understood by others. Here is exactly how you can improve your pronunciation starting today. The fastest and most effective method is active listening and precise imitation. Select a short, clear video clip, an audio recording, or even a single sentence from a podcast. Listen to it with intense focus. Pay attention not just to the words, but to the melody of the sentence, the stress on certain syllables, and the way the speaker's voice rises and falls. Then, you must replicate it. Say the sentence out loud, aiming to copy the original sound as closely as possible. For instance, listen to this sentence, "I would like to order a coffee." Now, do not just read it. Find a native speaker saying it online and imitate them. Repeat the sentence numerous times, focusing on the flow of "I would like" and the clear pronunciation of "order" and "coffee." If you dedicate yourself to this exercise daily, your pronunciation will improve organically and significantly. Another crucial tip is to speak slowly and clearly. Many learners operate under the misconception that speaking quickly is a sign of fluency. In reality, rushing your words often leads to muddled pronunciation and confusion. It is far more impressive and effective to speak at a moderate pace, articulating each word properly. This gives you control over your speech and makes it infinitely easier for listeners to follow your meaning. A tremendously powerful tool for improving your pronunciation is the practice of recording your own voice. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the most effective techniques for self-correction. Choose a simple sentence. Listen to a native speaker say it. Then, record yourself speaking the very same sentence. Play both recordings back and listen carefully for the differences. You will quickly identify specific areas where your pronunciation deviates, perhaps in the vowel sounds, the ending consonants, or the rhythm of the words. This immediate feedback allows you to make precise adjustments. You become your own teacher, capable of hearing and correcting your own speech patterns in real time. However, even with good pronunciation, many learners still feel a deep-seated shyness and nervousness when it comes to speaking. So, how do you build genuine, unshakable confidence? The first step is to radically change your relationship with mistakes. You must internalize the fact that errors are not badges of shame, they are essential, valuable components of the learning process. Every single person who speaks English fluently today made thousands of mistakes on their journey. Even native speakers occasionally misspeak or fumble for words. Give yourself the same grace you would give to a child learning to speak. The second pillar of confidence is consistent, daily practice. Confidence is not a theory you can study, it is a muscle that is built through repetition. If you only read about English but never speak, you will never feel confident. Therefore, establish a simple, non-negotiable rule for yourself. Every single day, you will speak English aloud for a minimum of 15 minutes. It does not matter if you are talking to yourself, having a conversation with a friend, or speaking to your pet. The act of forming the sounds and sentences with your own voice is what forges the neural pathways of confidence. The third technique is to implement what I call the 3-second rule. This is a powerful tool to combat hesitation. When someone asks you a question in English or a moment arises for you to speak, do not allow yourself to overthink. Give yourself a maximum of 3 seconds to begin your response. For example, if a colleague asks, "What did you do over the weekend?" instead of spending 30 seconds constructing a perfect sentence in your head, just start speaking within 3 seconds. Say, "I visited my family. We had a nice dinner together." The content is simple, but the act of responding immediately trains your brain to think on its feet. If you wait too long, the anxiety builds, making it harder to start. The 3-second rule bypasses the fear and gets you directly into the flow of speech. The fourth and most important strategy for building confidence is to practice real, meaningful conversations. This is where all the elements come together. The best way to become confident in speaking is to speak, not in isolation, but in the dynamic, unpredictable flow of a dialogue. Now, I am going to guide you through the ultimate key to fluency, which is learning to think directly in English. This is the master skill that will allow you to stop translating in your head and speak fluently without any hesitation. If you desire to speak English naturally, you must train your brain to process thoughts in English. The habit of mentally translating from your native language is the primary cause of slow, unnatural-sounding speech. Why is thinking in English so absolutely vital? Many people study English for years, accumulating vast knowledge of vocabulary and grammar, yet they still find themselves stumbling in conversation. The central reason is that they have not trained their brains to think directly in English. For instance, imagine you want to say, "I am going to the grocery store." If your mental process is to first think the sentence in your native language, then translate each word into English, and finally speak, the process becomes slow and cumbersome. Instead, you must cultivate the ability for your brain to conceptualize the thought directly in English, allowing you to speak instantly and smoothly. I know this might sound challenging, but I assure you, it is an achievable skill that is easier than you think if you follow the right, sequential steps. You must start with the most basic building blocks, simple words. If you are a beginner, do not pressure yourself to form long, complex sentences in your mind immediately. Begin by naming the objects you see around you, directly in English. When you wake up in the morning, look at the items in your room and identify them in English: bed, pillow, blanket, window, light. Continue this practice throughout your entire day. When you see a tree, the concept in your mind should be tree, not the word in your native language. When you see a car driving down the street, think car. This is the foundational first step in reprogramming your brain to create direct links between objects and their English names, completely bypassing the translation stage. After you have diligently practiced naming objects with simple English words, the next logical step is to begin forming simple, complete sentences in your mind. This is how you build your internal monologue in English. Do not worry about complexity or perfection. The goal is to describe your immediate actions and observations directly in English. For instance, if you are brushing your teeth, your internal thought should be, "I am brushing my teeth." When you are eating a meal, think, "I am eating rice and vegetables. This food is tasty." When you look out the window, think, "The sun is shining. It is a beautiful day." The critical rule is to avoid the translation process entirely. You are not forming the thought in your native language and then converting it, you are constructing the thought directly in English from the very beginning. One of the most powerful and practical ways to cement this skill is to actively talk to yourself in English. This is an extension of your internal thinking, but it brings the process into the physical world through your voice. Dedicate 5 to 10 minutes each day to this practice. For example, while you are getting dressed in the morning, verbalize your actions. I am choosing my clothes for the day. I will wear a blue shirt and black pants. These shoes are comfortable. When you are walking outside, narrate what you see. The weather is pleasant today. I see a man riding a bicycle. The trees are very green. This act of externalizing your thoughts in English strengthens the neural pathways, making it increasingly natural for your brain to operate in the language. To further accelerate your ability to think in English, you must immerse yourself in listening to the language as much as possible. The more you listen, the more raw material your brain has to work with, and the faster it will begin to internalize the rhythm and structure of English thought. Watch English language movies and television series, using subtitles initially if you need them. Listen to English podcasts or audiobooks while you are commuting, exercising, or doing household chores. Read books, articles, and news stories in English. This constant exposure feeds your mind with correct sentence structures, common phrases, and natural vocabulary, which then become the building blocks for your own thoughts. However, it is critical to remember that passive consumption is not enough. If you only listen and read, you are building comprehension but not production. You must activate this knowledge by speaking. This is the indispensable final step. You must push yourself to produce the language, even when it feels uncomfortable. Talk to a friend who is also learning, find a language exchange partner, or continue your conversations with yourself. The absolute key is to not let the fear of mistakes stop you. Every time you speak, you are strengthening the connection between your English thoughts and your English speech. The more you speak, the more fluid your thinking process will become, creating a powerful, positive cycle of learning and confidence. Here is precisely how you can stop hesitating and begin speaking fluently. The most important rule is to not overthink your words. Just speak. If you cannot recall a specific word, do not let it halt your conversation. Instead, immediately find a different way to express the same idea. Use simpler words or short, descriptive phrases. Your primary goal is communication, not perfection. Do not waste energy worrying about what the other person might think of your English. They will be far more impressed by your ability to communicate effectively than by a perfect but unspoken sentence. For example, imagine you want to say, I misplaced my keys and now I cannot find them, but the word misplaced escapes you. Do not stop talking. Simply say, I do not have my keys. I cannot remember where I put them. You have successfully communicated the core problem without using the more sophisticated vocabulary. This is the essence of fluent communication, maintaining the flow of ideas. If you commit to this approach daily, you will discover that your brain gradually starts to operate in English by default. The constant practice of forming thoughts and sentences directly in English rewires your cognitive processes, making it your brain's preferred mode for processing language. To make this transition to thinking in English as seamless as possible, I will provide you with a clear, daily practice plan. This structured approach will guide your efforts and ensure you are consistently strengthening the right mental muscles. In the morning, as you begin your day, make a conscious effort to name everything you see and use in English. From the moment you open your eyes, identify the objects around you: alarm clock, lamp, door, slippers. This practice sets an English tone for your entire day. During the afternoon, your focus should shift to forming simple, complete English sentences in your mind. Describe your actions and your environment silently to yourself. I am walking to the kitchen. I am pouring a glass of water. My colleague is sending an email. This builds on your morning foundation and pushes your brain into constructing full thoughts. In the evening, dedicate at least 20 minutes to active listening. Watch an episode of an English show, listen to a podcast, or enjoy some English music. The goal is to keep your brain immersed in the sounds and rhythms of the language. Finally, at night, just before you sleep, spend 5 to 10 minutes speaking to yourself in English. Summarize your day, talk about your feelings, or plan for tomorrow. Today was successful. I finished all my tasks. I feel optimistic about my English progress. Tomorrow, I will practice my pronunciation. If you repeat this daily cycle, you will find that within a few short weeks, your brain will have started the incredible shift towards thinking in English naturally and without constant effort. My incredible students, you have now been equipped with every essential tool and principle you need to speak English fluently, with confidence, and with natural ease. Let me reiterate that profoundly powerful truth one more time. English is not an inherently difficult language. The only true obstacles standing between you and fluency are the twin barriers of fear and hesitation. But now, you possess the knowledge and the practical strategies to dismantle both of these barriers completely. Mastering English will unlock a world of opportunity for you. It is a key that opens thousands of doors leading to a better career, the ability to travel freely and connect with people across the globe, the joy of understanding films, music, and literature in their original form, and a profound sense of personal confidence and independence. This journey is one of the most valuable investments you will ever make in yourself. Therefore, you must promise yourself that you will never stop learning. There will be days that feel challenging, moments when you might feel discouraged, or perhaps you will encounter someone who doubts your progress. In those moments, I need you to remember how far you have already come. Remember the foundational shifts you have made in your mindset and your daily habits. I believe in you completely and without reservation. Your commitment to this path is what will guarantee your success. The time for learning has transitioned into the time for doing. You must now go out into your world and practice. Speak English, listen to English, and think in English every single day. Let it become the normal background music of your life. Hold on to this crucial understanding: making mistakes does not matter. What truly matters is the consistent effort you put forth. Your courage to try, to speak, and to sometimes falter is what will ultimately lead you to mastery. This is not the end of our journey together. This is the magnificent beginning of your life as a fluent English speaker. This is the first day of a new chapter where you communicate with confidence and express your true self to the world. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep pushing beyond your comfort zone. If you do this, I promise you that one day, in the very near future, you will be speaking English with the ease and assurance of a pro. Remember, we are a community, and you are not walking this path alone. I am with you on this journey, and I will always be here to support you. Now, go out there and start thinking, speaking, and truly living in English. You have all the tools. You have the knowledge. You have the power. You can absolutely do this.